Well, obviously we're excited that it's finally here. Football's starting again. Summers go really a long time for us as coaches because you're in the office, you're prepping and preparing all the paperwork, but you can't wait to get your kids here and get working with your team. In your second year, you get even more excited. Over my career, second years were so much better, obviously, than first year. So we're excited about starting our second year so we can get this program going in the proper direction.
John, as you come into your second year, can you put in a little bit more into your playbook, or will you stay with what you had last year?
We have a couple things that we've researched throughout the summer that some of our coaches had used at previous places, like myself and Coach Paulus, and so we put a couple new things in that we liked, but still the core was in. We put everything in last year. We really didn't water it down. We tried to give them everything.
When you looked at last season, I'm pretty sure all the coaches broke down almost every offensive play. Were there a lot of, the offense struggled, but did you see some good signs offensively trying to move the ball?
As the year went on, you see our kids getting a little bit better, and obviously it didn't show on the scoreboard till the end of the season. But I thought the positive was where we ended last season to where when we started spring football, how much retention there was and how much we could build upon that in terms of execution. Then we went through spring ball, which is a very quick period of time. The key is going to be we start fall camp tomorrow, how much retention from spring practice to fall camp so we can start where we left off as opposed to going back and having remedial type courses.
Will you stay with some variation of the two-back like you did last year?
Yes. Last year we had one fullback. We recruited two other fullbacks, so hopefully that'll give us a little bit more flexibility to stay in that more. Last year we had the one guy that was a true freshman and got hurt a little bit, so we had to get out of it more than we really wanted to. So based on depth, but when we threw the whole offense at them, to me the beauty of our offense is we can be two backs, we could be one back with multiple tight ends, we could be one back with multiple receivers.
Who's your quarterback?
Well, we obviously played Patrick last year, and he gained valuable experience. And through the spring, you saw him get better. We brought in a junior college guy that went through spring practice and only had 14, 15 days in the system, which is not nearly enough. But to answer your question, we're hoping that's going to be a great competition this fall camp, as well as most positions on the field. It's healthy to have great competition.
Who do you want?
Whoever plays the best. Whoever can handle our offense, whoever can move our team up and down the field and be productive, that's who we're going to go with. So,
is it a step back if you got to go away from what you've had before?
I'm not sure.
If the other guy bumps out nicely, is that in terms of his style of play, what he brings to the table? Does that change the playbook?
No, I don't think so. It can somewhat, but for the most part, the core is the core. And the good thing was he's a first-year player for us, but he was able to learn the system and grow through the summer on his own, as opposed to coming in cold turkey without having 15 practices. However that ends up, just like any other position, if it ends up with somebody new, then obviously we've improved that position. If it ends up with the same person, obviously he had to improve because of the competition. So I think either way we win on that in any of those battles.
If you had a kind of a prototypical quarterback that you would like to work with, would it be like a pure passer or a kid that can run with pressure on defense, or what would you prefer to have?
In our system, we prefer to have a passer.
Okay.
We'd have to tailor our system to somebody that was more of a runner and win with his legs as opposed to with his arm and his arm strength and his mind. So right now that's what we're gearing our offense to, which was last year. Hopefully the guys being in the system will reap the benefits of the experience that they had.
Looked like everybody was impressed with your young running backs after spring with that veteran offensive line. That running the football, I know you're anticipating doing a better job with that.
Well, you have to. That in itself takes a lot of pressure off of a quarterback. So, so it was good to see our young backs play very well in the spring. We have a couple guys that played and both did well. We have a veteran line coming back for the most part. So, hopefully that will help our football team on offense be better, to become really two-dimensional. To me, throughout my career, the best offenses I've been around, the guys that can really be multi-dimensional, run it and pass it, and I think that's what poses the biggest obstacle for defenses.
Have you in your career ever had to replace running backs and receivers, skilled kids? And what's the challenge of that? All of them.
You had to, and sometimes they were great players. I remember being the coordinator at Ole Miss, and Eli Manning graduates. That's a big. We had Deuce McAllister. We ran the ball very effectively. We had Deuce McAllister, and then we threw the ball very effectively. So you have to tailor. You have to become what your talent and your players can do best. But I think that's the challenge as a coach. I think that's the challenge as your offensive staff, or your defensive staff, to be. I like to go in being 50-50. Now we may end up 60-40 one way or the other, based on how well we progress in each one of those areas.
Do you have Rossi? Did he tell you who's got Rossi?
Well, we always battle for those kind of players, guys that played well both sides of the ball at a high level in high school, and I wouldn't be surprised if we don't use them both sides. So so we'll just have to see how that plays out. But that's a good situation, because you feel like the guy can play multiple positions.
I know you played a lot of true freshmen last year. Is that something you anticipate won't be happening once you get into the second year of the program?
The more you're in your system, the more you recruit to your system, the less and less that should happen. Hopefully it'll be less this year than it was last year. Last year was a bunch. But, there's good and bad in that. It was bad that they had to play. The good thing is now they have a year of experience in the system, and game experience, which is no substitute for. So hopefully we'll reap the benefits of having to play so many freshmen.
At what point during the preseason do you let your freshmen know they're going to be redshirted, and when's that take place?
That'll come after camp, because you don't know who's going to get hurt, and you don't know how things are going to play. You don't know how freshmen are really funny guys. You don't know who's going to pick it up mentally, who's going to be physical enough. So there's a lot of variables that have to come into play. So we don't put anything on the freshmen like we know we have to play them or we're not going to play them. We just let us see how camp evolves and see who picks up the system and who translates from high school to college the best.